Hello everyone, welcome to Lockdown Sees the World. Today we talk about the Boxer Rebellion, the 8-Power Alliance, and Boxer Protocol, which require every Chinese to pay 1 tael of silver. After the Opium War, China's Qing government signed a series of treaties with foreign powers. The Treaty of Nanjing, Treaty of Tianjin, Treaty of Beijing, and Treaty of Shimonoseki. The huge indemnities shared to each Chinese and more afflictions to the people. In 1898, China's 100-day reform failed, and with Emperor Guangxu in prison, and Qing government doomed. In China's Shandong and Hebei provinces, there were a clandestine society named the Boxers that mingled with different groups of people, believing in spirit protection and safe from hurt. It's another version of Taiping rebellion. The Boxers had previously advocated to restore Ming Dynasty and against the Qing government, and suffer severe crackdowns. With intrusion of the Western powers and national interest confrontation, the Boxers turned to their rage to foreigners and the church. In the spring of 1900, the xenophobic Boxers made horrible massacres, resulted in deaths of more than 200 foreign missionaries and their family members, and about 20,000 local converts. With church and their homes burnt, the influence of the Boxers grew faster, with its member increased more than 100,000, and even stationed in Beijing. Qing government intended to use the Boxers against the powers, and impressed Doji Cixi and declared war to foreign countries because they supported the Emperor Guangxu rather than herself. Chinese troops besieged the legation areas of Beijing. Later, the imprisoned Emperor Guangxu wrote to U.S. President McKinley for help in mediation, for he didn't hope to confront all the powers. In June 1900, German Minister von Kassler went to the Qing government Ministry of Foreign Affairs, yet on the way he was shot by the street patrol soldier, which ignited in the intervention of the 8-Power Alliance. Then about 16,000 foreign troops gathered under the leadership of the British Vice Admiral Edward Seymour and American Captain Bowman McCulloch. In July, they besieged Tianjin, and in August, they took over Beijing. German Kaiser William II dispatched another 20,000 expedition army and arrived in Beijing in October when the war was over. German Marshal von Waldersee took the position as commander, and he gradually realized the Chinese people actually hard to be ruled. There was an episode during the war. On June 22, 1900, the 8-Power Alliance captured Qing's weapon arsenal at the north of Tianjin, where tremendous equipment, grains, and supplies were stored. The brand new weapons were the most advanced ones in the world, nothing less than those used by the foreign powers. The captured weapons include 36 field guns of 87 mm caliber, 60 guns of 70 mm, 300 machine guns, and 30,000 rifles and bayonets, millions of bullets. Later, General Seymour said, if there's Chinese troops used all these weapons, then the foreign army would have been totally wiped out. Strangely enough, Chinese troops would rather pick swords and spears rather than these good weapons. The failure of Qing and the Boxers was mostly due to the factor of people. After Beijing was taken, and harsh revenges followed with the execution of many war supporters and the deaths of numerous citizens. Empress Dowager Cixi and Emperor Guangxu fled to Xi'an, and Prime Minister Li Hongzhang was sent to negotiate with the powers. In September 1901, the Qing government and the 11 foreign countries signed the Boxer Protocol, agreed to pay indemnity of 450 million taels of silver, based on the Chinese population of 450 million people, which meant each Chinese had to pay 1 tael of silver debt. The indemnity would be endorsed within 39 years and totally augmented to 980 million taels of silver with loan interest. The foreign troops were permitted to station in legation areas and between Beijing to Shanghai Guan Pass and Beijing to Tianjin. All the anti-foreign organizations required to be demolished. As to the indemnities, the 450 million taels of silver equal to 303 million US dollars, to which America shared 7.32%, about 32 million taels of silver equal to 24 million US dollars. Since 1904, American government stated that US gold was somewhat overdue, and the leftover 10.78 million could be used for China's education. Liang Cheng, Mandarin's Qing minister to America, learned the information. He negotiated with US government for many times and finally agreed since January 1909 America would return the rest of the indemnity for preps of our overseas study, which was the precursor of Tsinghua University. So Liang Cheng was also called the father of Tsinghua. In 1906, Edmund James, the president of Illinois University, wrote to US President Theodore Roosevelt supporting the idea that provides scholarship by indemnity to China's overseas students. He said, who could be influential to the use of China's new generation, who would benefit mostly from the value orientations and the business. For military forces, sometimes were limited. His foresight of a peaceful evolution even today still wave leverage to some of China's public figures. In 1908, American Minister William Lockheed formally informed the Chinese government about the overseas study issue and reached an agreement that every year China sent about 100 students abroad to America with the criteria that being healthy, being honest, and good background and proper age, eligible in Chinese and English language. 80% of the students major in agriculture, mechanical, mining, physics, chemicals, railroad, and banking, and the rest 20% for law, politics, finance, and education. In July 1909, Qing government set up overseas study office in Tsinghua Garden, well formerly as Imperial Palace, and decade after Boxer Rebellion and the Eight Power Alliance. In 1911, the office enlarged to be Tsinghua School and renamed as National Tsinghua University in 1928. During the 2 decades from 1909 to 1929, there were about 1,280 students sent abroad to America, and many of them became well-known scholars in China, such as the future president of Tsinghua University, Mei Yiqi, and Master of National Culture, Hu Shi, modern linguist, Zhao Yuanren, meteorologist, Zhu Kezhen, philosopher, Jin Yuelin, Feng Youlan, the poet, Wen Yiduo, the architecture, Liang Sicheng, Lin Huiyin, woman writer, Bing Xin, and also with the scientist, Qian Xuesen, started in America since 1935, and gained PhD in aerospace and mathematics in California Institute of Technology. After First World War, China became one of victors, and most of the Boxer Protocol signatories agreed to give up the indemnity for China's education. For example, British approved 500,000 tills of silver for a school in Shanxi province. That was today's Shanxi University. In China, the great scholar Qian Zhongshu studied in Britain in 1935, supported by the indemnity fund, and his fiancée Yang Jiang went together with self-financial support. The only one exception was Japan. It continued the indemnity as a military budget and cultural aggression until outbreak of Sino-Japanese War in 1937. After the Boxer Protocol, China suffered greatly in world affairs, and the Qing government came to its end. Less than 10 years, the Republic of China was founded with Shanghai Revolution and witnessed a new dynasty. Just like saying in China, the rise and fall of a nation depends on its people. If a nation declines with its interests, its people would suffer, just like the indemnity, the Boxer Protocol. Each of the Chinese had to pay 1 till of silver. That is, no egg could be intact if the nest falls. During the Second World War, Japan occupied parts of China and many other countries in Southeast Asia. Lots of places underwent curfew due to the war. The locals could not move freely at night except the Japanese. Lots of rich Chinese people that had to rent a Japanese prostitute at a pass permit. It can be imagined that no matter how rich you are, if your country got lost, then your situation would be worse than a prostitute of another country. A song goes like this: I have no home if without country. Where should I go if without home? Anyone's fate is closely connected with the fate of his country or nation. In peacetime, people enjoy life, yet in war, many countries and homes got broken. Above is today's program, and thank you for your watching, and see you next time.